This right here is yet another motorcycle dashboard that's got CarPlay, dash cams, all sorts of fun technology in it. But you're probably sitting out there being like, all right, Spite, you've checked out a couple of these. What makes this thing special? Well, every time I've covered one of these dashboards, the biggest complaint that I've heard from the comment section and that I personally have is that, yeah, this is a really awesome piece of technology, but I have 10 motorcycles in the garage. I don't want to spend the money to buy 10 of these. You don't have to anymore. This thing finally has the #1 feature that everybody has wanted. You can swap this thing from bike to bike. I'm super excited to be checking this out because this is a piece of technology that I think is really cool and works on just about every motorcycle. It's a great way to modernize an old bike or to just add some features to a motorcycle that might not have it. This right here is the Chigee AIO-5. They sent this thing out for me to check out, and I'm gonna go ahead and install it on the Harley because I have some cool toys that are gonna work with this that I really wanted to try out. So that's enough jawing. Let's dive on into this thing. I'm super excited. Now, first thing I want to figure out is how I want to mount this because I do have a dashboard on here already. I'm thinking if I can get it as close to right there as possible. It will cover my blinkers, the neutral light, high beam, and oil. But in theory, I should be able to have that show up here because I do have an OBD port scanner for this. So probably right about there if I can make it work. So let's see what we got in the box for mounts. Now it's worth pointing out that this giant box that they sent me, this is apparently what they're sending to people who are making videos. I think that's a little bit silly. I feel like they should have sent me what you're gonna get, but you know, or they should just send this out to everybody. It's just cardboard. Now, the base itself uses this ball mount right there, and they have locking security torques so people can't disassemble it on you. There. Then they use a handful of different mounts. You've got this crossbar mount, which would actually be really nice on something like an adventure bike. They've got a stem mount, which I've used in the past for my sport bike. And then there's this, which is the handlebar mount. This is probably what I'm gonna go for. So I'm gonna use this and figure out where to put it on the Sporty. Well, after considerable monkeying around, this is where I've landed on it. I've tested my view from where I'm sitting on the bike, and let me show you from my perspective. This is about what I'm seeing. And I can sort of move this, whoops, got it sort of just loose right now. So I can move it around and get it in place and then pop the dashboard back on there. Now it's time to get power to the dashboard. So I'm gonna run it into either the headlight or the front running lights. Either circuit works, so let's get into it. That was on donkey tight. That did not need to be that tight. All right, things are proceeding according to plan. The unit is not on, but I think if I touch this to the 12 volt, it should come on. Right? Yep, there it goes. Now it's on. So this is why I like the Chigee. It comes on only with the accessory wire. Now I'm gonna tie it into, I said I was gonna do it into the headlight. I'm actually gonna do it into the license plate light, but I need to figure out which is the hot wire, and I'm not entirely sure which one that is. So I'm just gonna do some poking. It is 100% not on. If I jab it in there, it'll turn on. There it goes. Okay, so this is the wire I need to tap into. So now I need to figure out how to depin it. Wouldn't you know it, I actually have the exact right tool for the job. There, job done. Let's verify this operation was a success. There it goes. Yay! All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start installing the cameras and stuff. Oh wait, hold on. Let's do the OBD thing. That's the one I'm most excited about. All right, should be super easy. Just plug and play. Though this cable's kind of long, I'm gonna have to hide that. All right, let's see how this OBD thing works. I actually have no idea. So, should be, oh, you know what, it's under features. OBD, pair, RPM, yeah. Is it good to go? Is it connected? Fire it up. Haha, there it goes. Now, I'm gonna get the cameras set up. I was looking through these. These are now 1080p 60, which is cool, and you can change the frame rate if you want. So I'm gonna get the front over here and the back over there, and then I'm gonna run the wires someplace smart. For the tail-mounted camera, I was able to get pretty clever and follow the same wiring as the blinker brake light here, going under the fender and then coming back out here into where the rest of the bike's wiring goes. So in theory, I should be able to sort of feed this around somewhere. It's a little tight. I don't want to cram it in there, so I'll just find another spot for it. But anyway, I can hang the camera right here off the side of the bike, which will look really nice. And in case you're curious, there is a mount, or there is a little indent on the top of the camera that shows you which way is up. Yeah, that's about where it's gonna sit. These mounts do have a little bit of bend to them, so you can get it to fit exactly where you want it. That looks good to me. Send it home. And if you're worried about this stuff hurting your paint, it doesn't. It's the same stuff that you used for like a GoPro mount. So just some like isopropyl alcohol or even some non-chlorinated brake cleaner will deactivate any of the sticky, and you can get it right off your paint, no problem. Let me show you what we're looking at right here. So this is the back of the bike, and you can see what I was saying, this is the fender right here. But if we switch to the front view, you can see that's it looking forward, and then this right here, that's the front fender. So it is seeing a little bit of the fender in the front, but whatever. What I'm thinking about when it comes to this sort of thing is it'll give me a good perspective of where the center line of the bike is for if I'm on a racetrack or something. Now the next step is just tidying up all the wires. That's actually gonna be a little bit difficult on this motorcycle because there's not a lot of places to hide wires on it. Welcome to day 2, folks. I spent a lot of time off camera yesterday just sitting here, right here, staring at the front end of the dashboard like the thinker and trying to think where I wanted to set this thing up. I came up with all sorts of goofy mounting solutions because the Chigee comes with so many options that I just wanted to see if I could get something that was a little bit better than I left off with yesterday, and I think I have the solution. Right now, the dashboard is smack on top of the actual speedometer unit, but I can still see the indicator bar, which is nice because everything that's on the dashboard is being shown on the Chigee, so it's redundant. I'll spend about like half an hour updating the thing, making sure everything is connected the right way. It's actually super simple on this thing because it's over the air, you just connect to the Wi-Fi and it just does it for you. Now here's a question I know people are gonna ask because there are cheaper alternatives to this out there. Is this a better unit than those cheaper alternatives? Well, it just so happens that one of my other motorcycles is equipped with one of those alternatives. So I'm going to show you the boot time and time to interact with buttons on this, as well as what's on there, and we're going to compare them side to side so you can actually see them in real time. So turning these dashboards on at the exact same time, the Chigee boots in 11 seconds and the Aoocci took another 2. Not a huge deal, but that can be a little bit annoying. What is a bigger deal for me is the fact that navigating the Aoocci feels sluggish in comparison. There's a lot of waiting between button presses and reactions, whereas the Chigee is a lot faster. Both have tire pressure monitors, but the Aoocci lost connection so often I gave up using them and they weren't very accurate, often reporting 5 to 8 pounds over. It's also obvious that the Chigee is designed to be more than just some Android Auto dashcam combo. You have the OBD scanner on the Chigee reporting real-time info off the bike, GPS speed, blind spot monitoring, tamper detection, onboard storage so you don't need an SD card, higher quality cameras, and the list goes on. The biggest thing for me is the build quality of the Chigee is much better. It actually feels like a premium piece of technology, with the quick access buttons on the top, the heatsink fins on the back, and the quick detach making it so you don't have to buy a bunch of dashboards. By comparison, the Aoocci feels a little bit like a toy and you can't move it from bike to bike, whereas on the Chigee I can move it from one bike to another or put it in my car in seconds. Now that's all well and good, but let's see how the Chigee works in real time out on the road.
Now, pulling away here, one of the biggest things I know people are going to ask is this easy enough to see in bright daylight? And the answer is yes, but. So, the first thing I did when I left is I decided to put on a pair of regular Ray-Bans because I've worn flying eye sunglasses for like 5 years now on a bike. And I wanted to see if all of the stuff I've been saying about them is true, that they are still super comfortable, and yes, they are. But my Ray-Bans are polarized, and I went to look at the screen, and I was like, why isn't my screen on? What the heck? Turns out that this screen has a similar filter to the polarized lenses on my Ray-Ban sunglasses, so I couldn't see it. It filtered out all the light from the dashboard, so that is something to consider. But anywho, now that we're out on the road and we can see the dashboard, how is it? I mean, it works great, man. It really does. I do think of the dashboards that I've tried a handful of them now, the Chigee is the best. I started on the AIO-5, and now on the AIO-6, it's just that, but bigger and better. It's got a bigger screen, it's got more features, the cameras are better quality. Like, let me pull them up for you so you can see what I'm talking about. Right, I mean, that's 60 frames per second going right there. The overlay that you get with the footage is entirely customizable. And I gotta say, just looking at the screen, it already looks like I've color corrected it. And while we're talking about the cameras, it's important to remember that this still has the blind spot monitoring feature that the regular Chigee has, the AIO-5. Basically what happens is when there's a, let me switch it over to the backwards facing camera. So basically when you are driving down the road and you've got a car coming at you and it's going faster than you are through your blind spot, it'll make a beep. It'll have this like alarm that goes off, and it'll tell you on the screen which side the car is passing you from. But if you're passing the car and it sees the car going away from it, its algorithm is smart enough to know that you are passing it and not being passed, so it's not going to set off an alarm erroneously. Now, there's a reason why I put this on the Sportster, because the Sportster is a very vibrational motorcycle. And I did kind of want to beat this screen up a little bit just to see how it works. And the vibration damper, I said damper, guys, because a lot of you got mad in the cell phone mounts video. Damper is doing a really good job. I do feel like it could have just a teensy touch more vibration, but whatever. Just some looser bushings would solve that problem. Maybe what they should do is have a blue set of bushings that are really squishy and a red set of bushings that are a little bit tougher. I know that some handlebars do that. They've got soft bushings and hard bushings. But the main reason why I enjoy having this is the Android Auto. I know a lot of people are like, well, you got a quad lock right there, right? Well, some people don't want to have their phone there. And Android Auto is specifically designed to be used while you're riding, or rather while you're driving. But it's functionally the same thing. It's like, I like to think of Android Auto as basically like a senior citizen's remote control, right? You see those big remote controls that just have like the 3 or 4 buttons on them. That's kind of what Android Auto is, right? I've got my phone, I've got YouTube Music, so if I wanted to start something playing, I could just dive right into the Super Mix. And, pulls up some Magic Sword. Great synthwave shit. But now it's just playing in my pocket because I don't have my Cardo on. Maps are really easy to use. So if I wanted to go to the Harley dealership, pull it up and start. Right? It's just a couple of clicks of a button, and you don't have to worry about punching it in on your little phone screen over here. Now, I've said a lot of good stuff. Let's talk about some of the rough spots. So this does have an LTE 4G on it. Occasionally, I find it having a slightly hard time connecting. I would reckon that that has more to do with the SIM card that they sent with it, just like not being seated right than, you know, anything else. Because if I go in here and I go over to the, where is it? It's about, nope, that's reset. No, don't reset the device. If I go to about and I go into network, it's got all the information, right? So there's something going on there that I haven't quite sorted out, but it does connect, but right now it's just not. Another thing that would take this to the next level for me is if I could customize the parameters on the OBD screen. Basically what I'd like to do is I'd like to have this layout entirely customizable. I'd like to be able to set, because right now the tachometer goes to like 14,000 RPM. This Harley would explode if I revved it to 6,500 RPM. So I don't need the top half of this band. I'd like to be able to change the position on here. I'd like to be able to set up a shift light. That would be really cool, right? So let's say you dial it so that it's got from 0 to 6,000 RPM for this Harley. Redline's at 5,500. And you turn the shift light on at like 4,800 RPM, because after 4,800 RPM, nobody's home. This bike has nothing for you. So you have a big shift light that comes on somewhere in the corner. The speedo or the tach starts flashing. That would be really cool. But because I know how powerful of a tool the OBD scanner port is on this Harley Davidson, I'd really like to be able to pull more data from this motor. It would be really cool if, especially since it has the 6-pin, if it could just know what data it has. So stuff like the odometer, for example, would be really nice to just put on here, the actual odometer, so I could delete my speedo. The PSI, I've got a temperature warning to go off at 45 miles or 45 pounds in the rear. Yeah, it's getting a little toasty back there. So being able to dial that screen to the specific needs of the motorcycle, that would be killer. And that's totally something they could do with a software update. This is currently on version 0.7 point something. So I'm sure that as they develop it and they make it more sophisticated, we'll see that sort of feature come in. So that's a down the line thing. So is the Chigee AIO-5 worth the price of entry? Absolutely. It's a cool and easy way to modernize the motorcycle, and also I think that a lot of people who are commuting are going to benefit from having the cameras. I didn't even touch on the fact that this thing has a vibration sensor, right? So you're parked downtown, somebody's messing with your motorcycle, this thing senses vibrations, it starts recording for 60 seconds. So it'll capture whoever's messing with your motorcycle. It's a great tool for track day riders, it's a great tool for commuters, it's a great tool for people who want to record their rides without wearing a camera on their helmet. I don't know, man. It's just solid. If you're interested in checking this out, there is a link down in the description below where you can check it out. And yeah, man, this one, 2 thumbs up. And I can't wait to see what other features they cram into this with the over-the-air updates, because I really, guys at Chigee, if you're watching this far in the video, I'd really like to be able to customize that screen. But anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.